This is the QNUT electric bike, and my first thought was simple. This thing looks like a retro mini motorbike that someone blended with a fat tire e-bike. From my experience, that motorbike feel is exactly how it rides. The throttle pull is immediate, the frame feels planted, and the whole package comes across as more transportation tool than toy. Key features that stood out to me start with the motor and battery. The 1500-watt peak rear hub motor gives quick punch from a dead stop. The throttle can launch you without pedaling, which QNUT calls a cold start, and it feels exactly like that. No lag, no wobble, just go. I hit 27 to 28 miles per hour on flat pavement, according to my GPS app, at around 185 pounds with a backpack. The battery is a 48-volt 18Ah pack that locks in and pops out for indoor charging. On my longest day using pedal assist levels 2 to 3, I covered just over 60 miles with about 10% left, mostly city riding with a few hills and some stop and go. On throttle only, I got a hair over 40 miles before the power tapered. Your range will swing with rider weight, hills, wind, and how much you lean on the throttle. I'm glad they gave it 20 times 4.0 fat tires. For anyone new, the fat part is the tire width. It gives a bigger contact patch, so you feel more stable on gravel, grass, or patched pavement. I ran 26 psi on the street and dropped to around 18 psi on a dirt path. That small change made the ride softer and kept the bike sure-footed. There's suspension at both ends, a basic front fork and a rear coil shock. The front fork on my unit isn't adjustable, while the rear shock has simple preload adjustment. That means you can stiffen the rear a little for heavier riders or cargo. But you won't be tuning rebound like a high-end mountain bike. Still, over potholes and curb cuts, it stayed smooth and controlled. The cockpit feels modern. The color display is large and bright, easy to read in midday sun, and shows speed, battery, assist level, and trip data. It also survived a surprise drizzle on one ride, no fogging, no glitches. The interface is straightforward enough that I didn't need a manual to change assist modes or toggle the lights. Throttle is a twist style on the right side. Shifting is handled by a trigger shifter and a 7-speed rear setup, which is what you need if you plan to pedal up steeper grades without cooking your legs. Braking on my bike is handled by mechanical disc brakes. They stopped the bike reliably after a short break-in, but out of the box, the levers had more play than I like. A simple cable adjustment took out the slack, and after a few rides, the bike felt consistent. If you're new, mechanical discs use a cable instead of hydraulic fluid. They're easier to maintain at home, but don't feel quite as smooth. One safety detail I appreciated: touching the brakes cuts the motor. It's the kind of feature you forget about until it saves you once in traffic. Looks and build are a big part of why I kept grabbing this bike over others I own. The frame has that moped silhouette with a wide saddle and a big round headlight that throws a wide beam. At night I felt visible, and the rear light responds to braking. Mine also has turn signals and a horn button, which I used more than I expected when threading through parked cars and bike paths. Cable routing is clean and tucked, which seems minor until you notice how tidy the whole bike looks and how little there is to snag on. Assembly took me about 45 minutes on a living room floor with the included tools. The wheel was true, the derailleur shifted fine after a quarter turn on the barrel adjuster, and the brake pads just needed centering. The only hiccup I had was a slightly loose kickstand bolt that I tightened after the first ride, and the front tire came out of the box a bit low on air. Not a big deal, but check your fasteners and pressures before riding. I'd use a better set of Allen keys than the ones in the box, and a proper torque wrench if you have one. On the road, the character is confidence and ease. Throttle-only cruising felt natural up to 20 miles per hour, and pedaling with assist helped stretch the battery while keeping speed. The hub motor is quiet with a soft whir, and it doesn't yank the front wheel. The front end stays planted, so if you're hoping to pop wheelies, this isn't that kind of geometry. On a steep neighborhood climb, throttle alone dipped me into the low teens. Dropping the gear with pedal assist held me steady without strain. The compact wheelbase and wide tires made quick turns feel stable rather than twitchy. The bike weighs a bit, but the weight gives it a settled feel over rough patches. It's not all perfect. In my opinion, the riding position is set up more like a small moped than a tall mountain bike. I'm 5'10", and the reach is fine for me, but I can see taller riders feeling cramped over a longer ride. The saddle is cushy and wide, great for city cruising, but not something I'd pick for vigorous pedaling. Also, the front fork not being adjustable means you can't fine-tune it for your exact weight or terrain, so it's tuned for comfort rather than aggressive off-road. Another thing, I couldn't find standard mounting points for a front basket or a rear rack on my frame, which limits cargo options unless you go with strap-on solutions. From my experience, the strengths outweigh those quirks. The feel of instant throttle, The relaxed stability of the fat tires and a real, usable range make it feel like a legitimate car replacement for short trips. The removable battery is a win for apartment living. The lighting and signal package add day-to-day safety. The display is genuinely readable in sunlight, and I never struggled with the menus. The quality of the wiring and the tidy build gave me confidence, and I never chased rattles after the first shakedown ride. It's perfect for commuters who want throttle on demand in stop-and-go traffic, riders who mix city streets with park paths, and anyone who values comfort and style as much as speed. The bike looks good in person, and I kept getting questions at stoplights, which tells you the design hits a fun nerve. In my opinion, the biggest value here is that it feels like a motorbike when you want it to, but still pedals well enough to count as a bicycle when you're saving battery. I'd recommend this for first-time e-bike buyers who want something that's ready to ride without hunting for add-ons, riders who need a tough daily commuter that can handle rough roads, and folks who want a retro look with modern power. If you're above 6'1" or need to carry a lot of cargo, I'd plan on testing the fit or budgeting for creative rack solutions. If you're picky about brake feel, consider upgrading pads or cables once you settle in. In conclusion, the QNUT 1500 peak electric dirt bike for adults delivers quick acceleration, a practical range, and a comfortable, stable ride in a head-turning package. It's not a pure dirt bike, and it's not a featherweight pedal machine. It sits in that sweet spot where throttle convenience meets everyday utility. The compromises, mechanical discs, non-adjustable fork, limited cargo mounts, are sensible for the price. If what you want is a retro-styled, easy-to-live-with electric motorbike that makes every quick errand more fun, this checks the right boxes for me. If you found this helpful, hit subscribe and drop your questions or your experience with this bike in the comments. Thank you for watching.